This is Jeff Olson, Heady Metal. 2 weeks ago, I interviewed Doug Pinnick of King's X. About 5 minutes ago, I just heard that Jerry Gaskell, a drummer of King's X, was rushed to the hospital last night, Saturday night. So our hearts go out to him and King's X, to Ty as well, and this goes out to Jerry Gaskell of King's X. This is Doug Pinnick of King's X. Sunday, February 26, 2012.
Give me 50 cents, let me take it back, if that ain't what I meant.
Jeff, how you doing, man?
Very well. Is everybody healthy there? Are you and Ty and Jerry?
Well, Ty and Jerry's in New Jersey and Ty's in Kansas City. I hope they're okay. I don't talk to them much. I'm living here in L.A.
Oh, you're in L.A. now. When did that happen?
About almost a year and a half ago. Yeah, just couldn't pay bills and couldn't find work, and when I did get stuff to do, side projects, it was always in L.A. and stuff. And if California, if King's X is a musician band, then where else should I be but L.A.? This is where they're all at. So ever since I got here, they've opened up, they've rolled out the red carpet for me, and it's just been great. Mad respect and the respect is deep. So, I'm in good hands.
Are you guys rehearsing for your Western tour starting in March? That's King's X.
We'll rehearse about a week before we go out. We'll all end up back in Texas. My house is in Texas. I rent a room out here in L.A., but my house is in Texas, and my brother lives in it now, and he's taking care of it for me. And one day I'll go home, but right now I'm going to stay out here. But anyway, so we all go back to Texas, basically, since all our equipment is there, our rehearsal room and the road crew.
Sure. So that's where you regroup for a week, get it rolling, and then you're on the road in Texas first and then heading out west and northwest, it looks like. Yeah.
Well, basically about 4 or 5 shows in Texas, then we head west.
It's been about 3 to 4 years, I'm thinking about, as far as King's X. Are you releasing a new studio album soon, or has any of that been talked about or thought about?
We've tossed it around, but we haven't got together to work on it yet. I think Jerry is doing his solo record right now, and I think Ty is somewhere doing a record with Jelly Jam, I think. I'm doing my solo record as we speak. So I got some great songs, and it sounded really good, so I'm excited about it.
Cool. So is there anything interesting on there that we would want to know about?
Nothing at the moment. I can't wait till you hear it, though. To me, after writing songs for 4 years, I feel like I've got me personally, I feel like I got some really good songs. Yeah, I'm really hard on myself, and I know that a lot of people say, well, you've already written great songs, tons of them, but, I have a standard that I've been looking for, a vibe that I've been trying to find for myself so that I can like it, and I think I found it. It's not much different than what I do, I think it's just refined more, and I think the lyrics are better, and I think the melodies and the chord changes, to me, they're more thought out rather than just throwing stuff in a pile and then seeing what comes up, which was some cool stuff, but I'm just working on, just trying to get it real simple, down to earth, Smells Like Teen Spirit type song, just songs that are real simple, immediate, you can have fun with, walk away, put in your car and ride around and just everybody have a good time with. That's what I'm going for now.
Any keyboards or winds or brass, like specific instruments that are unique for you?
Well, I have a fractal preamp, which is a lot of people are using them now, and it's sort of a computer that basically banks every amp that there is and every sound that you can find, and it's so real that you can't tell the difference. It's a new thing that a lot of people are picking up on, and I'm using that, and there's a lot of great sounds that are already programmed in there, a lot of things that sound like keyboards or just atmospheric kind of stuff. So I've got some cool stuff happening, but it's still on me and my guitars. I went to Schecter a couple of days ago and got a 5-string bass and a 7-string guitar because I'm playing some really low stuff, but it's sort of in the Meshuggah vein, except poppy. And so I decided to move over and get some bigger guitars, and because I always said I would never play a 7-string or a 4-string bass, you know. But hey, here I am. You know, I finally saw the light. So
you've stepped down to 7 from 12.
Well. See, the thing about the 12 is that basically it's still the 4-string configuration for bass. So if you push your finger down on 3 strings, you're still getting the same note. But a 5-string, I have to, you know, I have a whole other string that I have to incorporate in there. So after all these years of playing with 4 strings, this is going to be it's been a challenge, and it's actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're extending another whole string there, another 4th or a 5th there probably to think about. So,
well, actually, the thing is, I've always played in, you know, C and A, but it's with these guitars. With these guitars, the tones are stronger. They don't sound, you know, like the guitar is just low tuned and kind of floppy, but it sounds natural now, which is really cool.
Hey, let's shift some gears and do some personal questions.
Give me some attention, lend me your ear.
Was your voice your first instrument, or did you play instruments when you began to learn your craft?
I have actually been singing ever since I can remember. My mother says that I was so obsessed with music that when I was 2.5 and 3 years old, she said I would ask her to play a certain song, and she said that even though the record labels had the same label on it, I could tell what song it was. But for me, basically what it was I could see the grooves and how far they went. Because see, a record player, the whole thing was fascinating. It wasn't just the music; it was this thing spinning around and the sound that was coming out, which was just moving me like crazy. So I used to call them yays, and I figured out later that a lot of the music back in the early 50s was yeah, and, you know, that kind of stuff. So all I thought was, give me yay. That's what my mom said I would always say. And you know, I've been singing literally as long as I can remember, and I've always noticed that every time I sang, people would freak out. They'd cry. They would get excited. They would just really out of the ordinary. And it was the only thing that I found that people seemed to react to when I did anything, was that when I sang, people just removed, or when I drew pictures and stuff like that, people were always amazed at it. So I just kind of kept doing it because it's what I love. I never thought anything about it, and I never thought it was special or I was doing anything out of the ordinary. I didn't even get it. I just thought, okay, well, they're crying. I don't know why they're crying, but I mean, I'm 7 or 8 years old and they're doing this. I'm just kind of going, what the heck is wrong with these people? But I was 23 when I started playing bass. Bass was always my favorite instrument. I mean, as long as I can remember, when I heard a song, the first thing I would listen to was the bass. And it seemed like sometimes I didn't even realize anything else was going on but vocals and bass. And nowadays, when I listen to really, really old tunes that I listened to in the 50s when I was a kid, I hear all this other stuff going on. I remember I pulled out Hound Dog by Elvis Presley, the original version, and I was paying attention to the drummer, and I'm going, oh my God, this drummer is pulverizing these drums. And I just missed that, you know. So it's great to just rediscover stuff. But playing bass was my favorite thing. So I was 23 when I started playing bass, you know, growing up poor and not thinking that I could get one. I never thought that I could buy one and learn how to play it. It was just like, huh? And one day, you know, somebody came to me and said, dude, you love to play bass so much, why don't you go buy one? And I'm going, oh. And then another guy about a week later came over with a bass that he had and said, here, play this for a while, and I'll come back and get it in a while. And that's what started me.
That's awesome. It's do the math. Why don't you buy one? I like that. I think that...
Yeah, well, you know, being a poor boy growing up in the ghetto, it did not occur to me that I just didn't even think about it because money was, I mean, my mother was on welfare and she worked hard. She had a regular job, but she was on welfare too to raise 7 kids, a single woman. And we just didn't have anything. And for me to even go, Mom, can I get a bass? You look at me like, what are you talking about? We're trying to, I remember eating potatoes and biscuits for weeks, because we didn't have any money. So getting a bass, huh? What's that?
Well, that explains your deep soul, Doug. That's amazing like that. With your family, your mother, out of much of the songs you've written over all this time, does one of those really stand out when you sing it, almost making yourself cry rather than others cry? No, I'm pretty much, when I play live, it's sort of me performing it now. I don't, I put all the feelings when I'm writing it and recording it, and there have been tears many times as I'm tracking. But then after, you get that out, it's sort of an exorcism, as soon as I get that out, then it's time for everybody else to cry, and I'll just enjoy it. I know that we did Picture from the Ear Candy record, and when the record came out, we were touring that record, and I remember that we were playing Chicago, and my mother was there, and I remember when I was singing it, I had to fight the tears, because it was very, it was just, I didn't know how my mom would react, she's a very private woman, she doesn't like her business being told, she doesn't want, she says, Douglas, why do you have to write those songs about your family, why do you do that? I go, Mom, I'm an artist, Mom. This is what we do, And she goes, and she just kind of frowns, but she knows she's not going to stop me, which is great. My mom always let me do what I wanted to do. She never ever told me I couldn't. She would just tell me the consequences if I did something and what could happen. But she said, "No, you do what you want to, and if you made the decision." Did you have any teachers that you'd credit to your development overall?
My music teachers in school were all cool, but, I don't remember a whole lot. I remember that they were always excited when I sang, and they always made me, they would rotate me in the choir to put me in the sopranos or the bass or the tenors, because I could sing anything, and I was about the only kid in grade school at the time that sang harmony, so it was like I was sort of like the prodigy child that if the sopranos are having or the altos are having troubles with pitch, she'd say, Doug, sing the alto part, and I'd sing with them. And I played saxophone when I was 12. I remember the teacher was really cool. I barely remember him, but he taught me how to play. And because of that, in college, in high school, too, I was in music and art classes, and I was in the choir and the madrigals in high school and college. And madrigals was like the top voices of the school, and there's like 6 of them, and they're chosen. So I was a part of that, which was a lot of fun. So it taught me a lot about arrangements, about vocals, about pitch, and things like that. That was really cool.
So then you're a reader, somewhat then vocal music.
Well, I can read, but I'm not good at it because it's never been something that I really worked at. But I passed my music theory class because at the semester exam, they took every student in a room, and the teacher sat down on a piano and hit a note, and then looked at a piece of paper and said, "Sing this a cappella." And so he hit the C note, and I looked at it, and I sang it perfect. And at the last note that I hit, he hits the last note with you on the piano to see if you're still on pitch, and I was perfectly on pitch. And he looked up and went, and I passed. That was all he ever said, though. But I realized at that point, as I got older, I realized that, a lot of singers don't keep their pitch if they sing a cappella. And I always did for some reason.
That's cool, Doug. It explains a lot from what all of us fans and all of us, have heard, especially vocally and musically. It's fantastic. You have a giant family. Are there any of them, musicians, and are there enough to create a Doug and the Family Stone?
I wish there was, but there's not. None of them, not one. There's 16 or 14 of us, sorry. 14 brothers and sisters. I mean, we all didn't grow up together, and we all had different, and like basically it's seven fathers and 3 mothers, and it's 14 of us. So it's sort of a complicated thing. But my younger sister, she sings, and she's always wanted to be a rock star, but it just didn't work out for her, and she got married and had a bunch of kids, and she's doing that, but she does karaoke and she wins them all.
In the hole had taken its toll when I took a good look at me.
Let's shift back to some musical things.
Walked in the day, my usual way.
I looked at this and I'm like, wow, you have recorded 10 tribute albums.
Oh, I have?
Like,
Thank you for figuring that out for me, because honestly, I've lost track.
There's 10 of them, and what my questions are, do you have an agent coming you with all these, or how does this happen, Doug?
I'm just easy. People call up, people send me a message, hey man, want to sing on this? We'll give you X amount. I'm going, sure, let's do it. For me personally, I'm not picky at what it is, because I figure no matter what it is, if I'm a good singer, I should make it work. No matter how bad the song is, or whatever it is, I got to go in there and make it right. Put heart into it and put passion into it, and it works. So, that's what I go for, and it's a paycheck, and that's the biggest reason I did them, because they say, hey, we'll give you this much money. Well, oh man, I could pay my rent this month. So I'm going, okay.
That's very cool. When you're not in the studio or on tour, do you practice?
I'm writing music.
Yeah.
I'm writing music and writing and recording. I don't practice. No, I never practice. I haven't practiced in 20, 30 years. What I do is, I start writing a song, and that's how I learn. I learn new things as I write, more songs, and that's how. I'm a guitar player, but I've never practiced guitar, and I could go out and tour and play right now, but I never really practice. Like I said, it's all about writing songs. And the thing is, when I sit down to maybe say do a lead or something special on a song, well, I'll play that lead all for 2 or 3 days even until I get it right. It could be the simplest lead in the world, but that's I guess that's my way of practicing indirectly.
It sounds like professionally, the amount of work that you do it makes automatic practice because you're constantly tracking.
Exactly.
That's awesome. What would you tell a younger, kind of like a beginner in music, like some kind of tip for their future?
Well, number one is if you're in it for the long haul, then it's going to be great. If you're in it to be a rock star and get famous, then you're going to be disappointed, because 1 out of every million get that chance. And so, I always tell people that, people ask me, what was it like when you made it? And I said, well, I was excited the first time I played a note on a bass. I was excited the first time I got up and sang in high school for the assembly. That's when I made it. You know what I'm saying? And, because people don't make it. What is that, To me, it's, are you doing what you love to do, and are you getting paid for it? And if you're doing that, then you're doing really, really good.
Here we're going to shift to a little humor thing that I do, 7 odd things. This is a little game called Apples and Oranges.
Uh-huh.
This is a
I
little
like
thing.
that.
Yeah. It's probably going to be... It's not the most intelligent thing on the planet here, but it's kind of fun.
I love non-intelligent things. It's all good. It reveals some pretty heavy stuff about people.
So I'll say one thing and it'll say or, and you just choose which one you like. So here it is.
Okay.
Books or magazines?
Magazines.
Computer or TV?
Computer.
Okay, movies or theater, like, the plays and...
I love theaters.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, I love theater, but I don't go very often, but it's my favorite.
Metal or rock?
Oh, I can't answer that.
Discriminative, yeah.
Both evenly.
Swing or bebop?
Both.
I'm liking that. That's funny. All right, classic orchestral or modern orchestral?
I have no clue, because I have never listened to classic or textural. I mean, I know nothing about it. I know that Beethoven's Fifth really moves me, but I don't know what it is. So, I should say vintage, because that's all I know. I haven't listened to any classical music since I was a kid in school.
Cool. That's fun. All right, then this one is Alice Cooper or Arthur Brown?
Alice Cooper.
Okay, and lastly, James Brown or Sly Stone?
Oh, that's a hard one. Okay. Well, Sly Stone is my favorite musician of all. I mean, he's number one. Sly is my favorite. I try to write like him. I try to sing like him. Everything. So, but James Brown changed my life. On the one changed everything for me. So it's hard to say, but I have to say both.
I have to say both. That's great. I'll tell you, those two. Wow. Oh man, just great. People don't even realize what impact those two have done, They
have no idea. It's so funny how people nowadays have no idea that what they're playing is from people that, that they've never heard, and they think that they heard it from the person down the street, or they think they made it up, and I'm going, nothing is new. Everything's been done. Music has only, I mean, I know we only have 7 notes to a scale. Mathematically, it's all been done before. I mean, it's like the lottery. It has to be,
That's great. And last, what we do with the conclusion, Doug, is a question that can be short or long. It's up to you on this, because it's what would you like to say to the entire world right now at this point in your life?
Things are never as they seem. And, politically, I mean, because that's what's on my mind right now. Politically, I don't trust anybody. Politically, I believe they're all liars. Politically, I believe that none of them are out for us. They're only in it for themselves across the board, across the world. I don't believe there's any credibility in any people that run countries. And so, I'm just sitting back watching the circus, waiting to see what happens. This whole, Iran thing, Israel supposedly talking about bombing them over some nuclear thing, these preemptive strikes and all this kind of stuff. It's just so insane. And the sad thing about the funny thing is I talked to a friend of mine who just got out of the Army. Well, she was on leave, actually. And I said, tell me something that I don't know, because I don't know a whole lot about what's going on out there other than what I see on YouTube. And that it might not even be the truth. But I said to her, we need to just leave the Middle East alone and come home. And she said, yeah, this is what we really need to do. But she said, but they'll never stop coming after us. And I went, wow. So basically, hey, eat, drink, and be merry, because tomorrow we die.
Complain.
Yo, that was Doug Pinnick not complaining, and that was King's X, and they'll be on tour March in the South and West. Get 'em. This is Jeff Olson, Heady Metal.